What up, though? This is Thomas, and here's another episode of Dollar Store Cinema. This episode, I'm going to be talking about Trapflix's Dirt on Your Boots, Bullies Never Die. This is a movie by JT the Bigga Figga, aka Fig Panamera, and I knew about Trapflix for about a decade, and it was like the hood movie alternative to Netflix. And I thought that was really cool. I admired him from afar. I just thought that independent filmmaking is important, and I give all respect to anybody who has the courage to make their own movies. That being said, this movie is not good. It is one of many in the Dirt on the Boots series. I think that might be like his biggest uh, series out of all the movies that they put out. And JT, he co-stars in this movie as Locks, but it's mainly about uh, a character named Trigger, who's played by Barbara T. And I don't really know how to describe it. It's the movie feels like it's not connected. It feels like a bunch of scenes put together. And I was thinking that when I was watching the movie, and then I remembered that JT on Instagram was bragging about the fact that he doesn't have a script when he shoots, and you can definitely tell that they don't have a script during this movie. The movie is only 75 minutes, but it felt long. It was a long 75 minutes. I I want to compare it to the movie that I reviewed last week, Everything is Both, because of just the differences. Like they both are quote unquote hood movies, but one, Everything is Both, was fully fleshed out. They had compelling characters. You actually knew the names of the characters. You root for certain characters and root against others. And that also was a shorter movie. I think it was like 80 minutes, maybe, but it felt quick in a good way. This movie is not that. The characters aren't fleshed out, and neither is the story. And it honestly just felt like vignettes. Um, there's scenes that just keep going on with no real end, and you can tell that they just decided to shoot something that was already happening, and they were just like, oh, we could just use this for the movie, when it doesn't really fit, or it isn't made to make sense in the movie. Another thing is the music. There's music in this movie, like composition wise, and it is distracting. Um, there's music in almost every scene, and it's not good. There's I actually timed it. There's multiple scenes in this 10-minute period, but it has the same like 4 bar music loop throughout the scene, throughout the scenes, excuse me. And it just was super distracting. And it didn't really help that not only did the loop not change, the music was sometimes louder than the dialogue, which brings me to the audio. The audio wasn't good either. Like sometimes it's clear and then sometimes it's muddy. In the car scenes, it was definitely muddy, which I would think would be the opposite, where when they're in the outside, it would be muddy. But mostly the car scenes, it wasn't clear, and even the outside scenes, it wasn't clear either. Um, there was some fighting in the movie, like fist fighting, and you can tell they didn't have a fight choreographer or anything like that. The fight choreography was non-existent. Like it felt like a mess. Um, I understand what they were getting at with the fight scene. Like it was important for the movie, but it would have landed better if they actually had somebody who knew how to do fight choreography, and so that it would look like it was planned instead of just, hey, y'all go out there and act like y'all are fighting each other. All right, lastly, I'm gonna get to the actual story. This is from what I could piece together. So there's a character named Lox, and it's played by JT the Bigga Figga. And the Dirt on the Boot series has been about him and all of his exploits and the drama that he's gotten through and shootouts and all that stuff. And now his character is trying to change a new leaf. Like he's trying to uh, get out of the game. He's trying to better himself, and his focus is on uh, having land. And so we see him out with a piece of land that he just bought, and he's trying to get people to clear some trees so that they can have um, real estate being put on the land. Um, and before all that, the first scene in the movie, there are a group of uh, young adults having a dice game, and this one guy comes over, uh, played by Barbara T. His name is Trigger, and he comes and he sticks up the dice game, pulls out a gun, and robs everybody, and then he takes the money and runs off. And this is a common theme throughout the movie. But one of the characters, I don't even know his name. I don't even think they said his name. But he goes over to Locks. He meets with him, and Locks is at the parcel of land that he purchased. And so we get into what Locks is doing. And Locks' whole plan is like, okay, I'm going to clear out all these trees, and then I'm going to try and bring some income in by having like maybe an RV park or mobile homes or whatever. And this is where Locks finds out that Trigger is just robbing everybody. And he's trying to see what he can do to like help out. And so this leads to a scene where Trigger is talking to Locks, and they keep calling each other brother. And I don't think they mean biologically. I think they just mean like on some homie type, like, yo, you my brother. Um, it wasn't made clear. But they get into an argument when Locks finds out that Trigger backdoored his son, and that ended up leading to a murder. And again, like it's not necessarily clear. This is things that I've sort of pieced together. Um, but throughout the movie, you basically just see Trigger going around uh, preparing for war because the people who he robbed are very angry with him and are trying to get revenge, essentially. This is something that I thought was going to be built up. Like Locks talks about, like, oh, okay, these two sides aren't happy and they're going to prepare for a war, but the war never actually happened. So that was like a thread that never ended up getting connected. But where's that at? See, I can't even tell you. All right, yeah. Trigger was just going around and he was getting guns because he was worried about the revenge or whatever. And he robs the gun supplier and he just runs off. It's like every person he meets, he robs and then just runs away. Uh, Locke said all he cares about is him, and that ain't gonna work. So I was looking to see if he was gonna get his like comeuppance, if he was gonna get his just desserts, so to say. And And there is a scene that I did enjoy. Um, so one of the characters that got robbed at the top of the movie, they end up going to um, grandma's house, and they're trying to explain like to grandma what happened and how angry they are, and grandma's basically just like, I don't want any more murder. I don't want any more violence. Like, y'all should learn how to fight again instead of just going to guns. And they're trying to explain to her that like people always got guns, so if they do try to fight, like fist fight, they'll be at a disadvantage. But that was a really good scene. Like, and there's a couple more scenes with the grandma. But again, because there's no script, it's basically the same scene 3 times, which isn't good. Um, yeah, Trigger speaks to grandma. It's like everybody speaks to grandma. I'm gonna say kids. They're not kids. They're young adults. But the people that got robbed at the beginning, they talk to grandma. Trigger talks to grandma. Locks talks to grandma. Um, I think those were like the scene with Trigger and his grandma was supposed to be deep. Trigger admits to murder of her grandson and is just asking for her to forgive him. And it could have been a powerful scene. It could have been really emotional, but like Trigger as an actor, he was not really given much emotion. He was delivering these lines dryly. There was no facial expressions, there was no tears dropped, none of that. And so it didn't really hit the way it was supposed to hit. Um, there was some creative filmmaking in one scene. Locks meets with grandma, and um, grandma's basically just like, yo, do not kill Trigger. Um, just don't do it. I forgave him. You should forgive him, type thing. And then Locks falls asleep. And in this, you see it's like a dream sequence, and he finally catches up with Trigger, and he's dual wielding guns, and then just murders him and just shooting him. And he's like, die, die, die. Um, and you could tell that it's a dream because of the color grading, which I thought was a really cool choice. Um, but long story long, the last scene in the movie, you see that Trigger is finally about to get his comeuppance. Lots gets to drop on him and pulls up um, with one of the people that he did dirty, and he has a gun to his face, and everybody's like, "No, don't do it. There are kids here. There are kids here." And Lox is basically just talking about how much he wants to murder him, and then a character comes from the back and is like, "Look, all y'all stop all this foolishness. Put on these gloves and fight it out like real men." And like he literally has 2 pairs of boxing gloves, and that's what they do. They end up boxing it out, and I thought that was a really powerful message. I thought that that was really cool to get across, because it's like Friday. You may win some, you may lose some, but you get to walk away. So, uh, if you want to see the movie, you can watch it for free on YouTube, on Trapflix streaming. And I'm out.